What's up guys and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be building the absolute worst fighter possible. That's right, I'm going to be getting the attributes from certain fighters that just make them awful, and I'm going to be combining them into one fighter and just making quite literally the most abominable fucking person to ever grace the planet. That's what we're going to be doing. We are going to be creating someone that I'm genuinely confident the average person could beat in a fight. That's what we're aiming to do here. So yeah, we're looking to find just the worst of everything, the worst of all areas, and put them into one person. So that's what we're going to do. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment your choices for each category down below if you want. If you think I left out any notable categories as well, feel free to let me know, but we're going to get into it first off. So right off the bat, I think it's only fitting to start with the cardio of Shamil Gaziev. Of course, he is peak male condition, but his cardio is lacking just a little bit, you know. He did go at an extremely average pace against Jairzinho Rosenstrike and then gassed out, and then also at the end of the fourth round quit due to cardiac arrest because his eyesight stopped working. So yeah, Shamil Gaziev, definitely one of the worst cardio bases in the UFC. I had to pick a heavyweight for this one. Even if you think there's some other fighters in other divisions that have bad cardio, it's just in pound for pound, you know, a lot of pounds on Shamil Gaziev. Pound for pound in comparison, he might have the worst cardio in the UFC. But let's move on to another category. Next up, we're rocking with the get-up game of Rebellis Despain. Now, this is a newly discovered attribute here in terms of a newly discovered terrible attribute, because this man has zero get-ups. He's never stood up from a takedown before without the round ending. He's been taken down multiple times. I think he's been taken down 3 times. And all 3 of those times, he just didn't get back up. It was quite tremendous stuff. I was going to put him in it for takedown defense too, but I kind of wanted to separate some of the categories. And there is another culprit for the worst takedown defense, but his takedown defense also vying for the worst, you know. He was held down and made Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's never shot or completed a takedown in the UFC, he made that guy look like fucking Gelton Almeida out there. Not saying that's that much of a good thing, but he made Waldo Cortez Acosta look like a dominant grappler. And yeah, get-up game is awful. This guy needs to learn how to do a hip escape at least, because I don't think he could even do one of those. So yeah, even if you didn't have someone on top of him, I'm pretty sure this guy would struggle to get back up to his feet. But let's move on to another category. Now, for the takedown defense, I'm going to go with Vyacheslav Borshev. Now, this could be, there's a lot of people with bad takedown defense. You could go with a lot of people, but I'm going with a recent entry because this guy fought against Chase Hooper, and fair enough, he did get dropped the first time, but his takedown defense has shown to be awful. Sadikov took him down a bunch. Mike Davis took him down like 11 times. He's been taken down over 10 times in multiple UFC fights by like solid fighters, but not even like top tier grapplers. Like if you fight Khabib and you get taken down 20 times, all right, fair enough, bro. At least you get back up. But this guy both gets held down for ages and still gets taken down a bunch. Terrible takedown defense, awful. In hindsight, I really don't know why I picked him to beat Hooper, because I genuinely thought Hooper didn't know how to wrestle. I thought he was only jiu-jitsu, but apparently you don't even need to know how to wrestle to beat this guy. Takedown defense is just terrible, but there are many entries you could have gone for this one, so I wouldn't complain with any pick, really. If you wanted to go Rebellis, I wouldn't complain about that either, but yeah, lots of people with bad takedown defense, so a difficult selection to make. But let's move on to someone else. Now, we're rocking with the chin of Matt Schnell. Now, a lot of people, they look at this category and they pick Cody Garbrandt, and I don't mind that pick, to be honest. Like, if you want to pick Garbrandt, I don't hate it. He got KO'd by Kai, who's a good striker, but not like a crazy one-shot power puncher. He got KO'd by, Munoz, Dillashaw. Who was the other guy that he got finished by? I think it was just Munoz, Dillashaw, and Kai, I think. If I forgot one, then let me know. But to be honest, he fought Figgy and didn't get KO'd. So I actually don't think his chin it's bad, don't get me wrong, but I think Schnell's is worse. Schnell is consistently getting KO'd at flyweight. Sumodoji was rocking this guy all over the place. He got flatline KO'd by, Steve Erceg, who's a good striker but not a power puncher. He got flatline KO'd pretty much flatlined by Nicolau. He's been KO'd by Pantoja. He gets KO'd so much at flyweight too. It's the same with cardio. You got to go with a heavyweight. Flyweight, you got to go with a flyweight for chin, because if you're getting KO'd at flyweight, your chin is atrocious. So let's move on to someone else. All right, next up, we're rocking with the ability to overcome adversity of Abbas. Now, this is similar to cardio, but not quite. This is like it's because cardio is a different thing. Cardio is just like physically, you just gas the fuck out. This is like as soon as someone starts imposing their will, as soon as you don't get your way, you just fall off a cliff and die. And that's what happens to Abbas against Sean Strickland, and similarly against Borralho. If you pick up the pressure on this guy and just walk him backwards, walk him down, he just dies and says, fuck this, I'm out, and just quits. The first round against Strickland was not even a high pace, and he gassed out and just didn't want to fight anymore because he realized that he had nothing else after round one. So yeah, Abbas is going to take the nomination for this category, but let's move on to someone else. Just a quick one. We're going to go with the reach of Mateusz Rebecki. Now, there are obviously UFC fighters with shorter reaches, but this is more of like a pound for pound thing. In comparison, there's probably people that have worse, but in comparison, this guy's reach is abysmal. He's got like a 66-inch reach at lightweight. It's shocking stuff. And we saw it against Ferreira. He wasn't able to just swing big shots and he just died. All right, now we're rocking with the pound for pound height of Henry Cejudo. There's not much else to say. This is just a rough one. So if we get, what we're going to go here, we're going to get the reach in terms of comparison of Rebecki and then get the height of Cejudo. We're basically putting a dwarf in the cage. So that's what we're going to be doing. All right, now we're going with the physique of Chris Barnett. So we've got a 5'2" midget in Cejudo with no reach, and he's just a blob of a man. So he's going to be a heavier weight class too. So it's not even like Cejudo can get away with the no reach and no height at bantamweight. This dude's a heavyweight, or like a light heavyweight at least. And yeah, we're just going to see a blob in the cage with just stick arms. It's going to be the funniest shit. Let's move on to someone else. All right, now we got the power of Muhammad Mokaev. Now again, pound for pound, it's a bit different because there are probably heavyweights that have no power too in comparison. But I'm looking at someone who is somewhat of an athletic fighter. He's in the flyweight division, so you should have some pop. You should have some quickness or some danger. But out of everyone in the flyweight division, this guy is probably the least dangerous on the feet. I don't think he's ever hurt someone in the stand-up, and that's why he's incapable of winning fights on damage. So he's lucky the scoring criteria just ignores that. Or the judges do at least. But yeah, we're rocking with a fucking obese midget light heavyweight that has no power. So yeah, this is going tremendously. Now we're going to add in the leg kick defense of Anthony on paper Smith, the paper legs himself. And yeah, I'm just going to see this absolute midget dwarf obese man with no power get chewed up to the legs. It's going to be hilarious. So yeah, their defense is awful. They've got no power. They've got no chin. They've got no range to work with. So yeah, we're doing really well so far. All right, now we're going to go with the boxing defense of BSD, and specifically staff-induced BSD, staff-affected BSD, when he's gassed out in the second round, trudging forward, throwing looping shots, getting tagged down the middle. Absolutely awful stuff. So yeah, BSD, the boxing there, in comparison, obviously you could go with like Ben Askren or CM Punk. That's obvious, but just a funny one here, BSD, with staff, of course. Normal BSD is not as bad, but staff-induced BSD, I'm going to go with his boxing defense. But let's move on to someone else. All right, now we're going with the boxing offense of Ben Askren. Now, this is just tremendous. So, yeah, we've already got no power in the hands. We've got no defense. We've got no range to work with. And on top of that, you're going to have this obese midget throwing spinning back fists like a tard and not knowing how to throw a 1-2. It's going to be great stuff. But yeah, I think this fighter would just be... It'd fit right in. Probably be a ranked light heavyweight, let's be honest. Because the quality of that division is down the drain. It's probably still beat Dominic Reyes, let's be real. But let's move on to someone else. Alright, now we're rocking with the kicks and knees of early Khabib. I'm talking jumping, flying knees when the opponent is 2 meters away from you. You could add in just overall striking of early Khabib, with just jumping up, throwing hammer fists while he's in the air. We could be going with that. But yeah, I'm thinking the kicks and the knees. This guy can't land kicks to save his life. When he was trying to do kicks and knees and shit in his early days, it was very funny to watch. So yeah, we're going to have this obese midget tard with no power and no boxing. On top of that, they're going to be trying to do the fucking Masvidal from 5 meters across the cage because their opponent's jabbing them and they can't even get close to them. So it's going to be good stuff. Let's move on though to another category. All right, so to add on to the no power, no striking offense or defense, any of that, we're going to go with the speed of Volta Walker. Now, if you were unfortunate enough to watch this guy's fight with Lucas Bershke, you will know this man is quite literally the slowest fighter on the roster. Even BSD with staff still looks like he's moving in fucking light speed compared to this guy. He it takes a good 2 to 3 business days for this man's jab to reach you. So yeah, we're going with the speed of Walter Walker, just a truly lightning fast athlete. Let's move on though to someone else. And we could go with the movement of Walter Walker while you're at it, so I'll add that in there. But let's move on to another category. All right, basically just to cap it off, I've just described the striking of Paul Craig. So yeah, we're going to go with that pretty much as the overall broad arching theme of it. But yeah, if you were going to get each of those attributes, put them together, you're probably looking at Paul Craig. Although Craig does have some decent kicks, but apart from that, we've basically just created Paul Craig on the feet. But let's move on to someone else. All right, now we got the fight IQ of both, yes, that's right, Cody Garbrandt and Michael Chandler mixed together. You know, maybe we get like the two wrongs make a right and these two turn into a fucking genius and we see Demetrius Johnson in the cage. But if you're combining two of the worst fight IQs on the roster, I think it's these two. And honestly, you want to know what I say? I actually think the fight IQ of Cody Garbrandt is worse than his chin in terms of like something that costs him more. Because you can have a bad chin and fight behind it and still do well. Like Rockhold became champ. He's got an awful chin. He paid for it later in his career, but I'm not saying it's easy to do as well, but you can have a shit chin and still win fights. But it's the fight IQ of Cody Garbrandt who decides to trade in the pocket and swing hooks like a tard when he knows he doesn't have a chin. That's what cost him. Because again, if he stayed on the outside, used his speed, used his movement, and was just winning fights like he normally does, like against Munoz before he got caught, he would be a fucking champion still. Like he'd probably still be a fucking 5-time champion, 5 division champion or something like that. But no, instead this guy insists on thinking he's Max Holloway. That's a fight I want to see for sure. It would be very amusing. But yeah, he thinks he's Max Holloway, so he trades in the pocket and gets chinned. But you're less likely to get chinned if you just stay on the outside and don't be a tard. Sometimes he does that. Like against Figgy, he wasn't getting caught like a retard. But occasionally in a lot of his fights, like against Dillashaw and Munoz, he just trades and loses. But also Michael Chandler, grappling and striking IQ, just overall horrendous stuff. Oliveira fight, slamming himself onto the ground into a deeper body triangle, fumbling a couple finishes there. Against what was his fight after that? Gaethje, walking forwards with his hands down like a tard. Great stuff. Against Ferguson, he didn't do too bad. He actually wrestled there. But again, a lot of his fights, he doesn't wrestle when he's literally like the most athletic dude in the division. Doesn't wrestle until he's rocked. And against Poirier, literally 10-8'd him in the second and then overcommits on a takedown and ends up on bottom and gets choked out. So yeah, great stuff for Michael Chandler. Tremendous fight IQ. We got to add him and Cody in there for this category. Let's move on though to someone else. All right, now just to add on to that, we got the overall IQ of Bryce Mitchell. I think there's only so just like when you're hearing this guy talk like post-fight interviews or interviews outside of the cage, just doing like an interview on fucking MMA Junkie or some shit like that, or one of these platforms, or on a podcast, this is the IQ I'm talking about, not in the cage. So yeah, we're going to go with that IQ of Bryce Mitchell. But let's move on to someone else. All right, just to add the touches to the submission offense, we're going to go with the guillotine of Dustin Poirier, and adding on to that, like the trigger of pulling guillotines of Poirier, like the submission offense awareness. That's what I'll go with for Poirier. Just knowing when to pull a submission. Something he is very good at, of course. So that's going to be a category that we need for our tremendous midget, obese, light heavyweight with no power. Let's move on though. All right, just to add on to that, we're going with the retiring when you should of Tony Ferguson. Something, of course, he has displayed what not to do. So yeah. On top of that, with my midget, obese, light heavyweight with no power, no speed, no defense, no movement, no fight IQ, no chin, they're not going to know when to retire. So we're going to see this fucking 10-pin bowling ball get punted around the cage until his late 40s. So yeah, that's what we're going to see. As a fucking good comparison, this 10-pin bowling ball, this little fucking SpongeBob of a fuck, just gonna be getting kicked around. Let's move on though to someone else. All right, similarly, we've got the career management of Alexander Volkanovski. Now, it pains me to say it, but we're having a laugh in this video, so we're making fun of everyone. Volk, you've done a terrible job of managing your career, and it's not just your fault, it's the people around you too. But yeah, we're gonna see this midget blob get just, he's getting KO'd, right? He's gonna get KO'd on some Apex card, co-main event of an Apex card, and then this man's turning around to save a pay-per-view in the main event, upper weight class. That's what we're going to be seeing with our champion fighter. But let's move on to another category. Just a quick one. We got the vision of Shara Magomedov, so our fighter just will be blind in one eye, and I thought that him and Bisping were blind in different eyes, so I was going to do like blind in each eye, so we've just got a blind blob in the cage. That's something we get that in PFL that sell pay-per-views, because other than that, their product's dead. So we need to get this absolute fucking unit over to the PFL or over to like one championship, or put him in Fight Circus. That would be tremendous. Yeah, just won't be able to see. But let's move on to another category. All right, now we got the hairline of Kamaru Usman. Just so on top of just the absolute awful skill and attributes that this person have, they've also been blessed, or cursed, my bad, with just the worst hairline known to man. Just I can't, I'm not going to put it up, but you know the picture I'm talking about, with the embedded barber's got the flashlight trying to find this man's hairline. That's tragic stuff. But yeah, we got to add the hairline of Kamaru Usman in. I think that's really the only attribute of Usman that needs to be added in. Maybe you could put his knees in there as well. Add the knees of Kamaru Usman. Let's move on though to another category. All right, so we got the mic skills now, and Buckley, you're getting the call-outs. That's the attribute we're going with for you, mate. We're going to add the call-outs of Jochen Buckley. So we're going to see this midget, bald fuck, midget, no fucking receding hairline, no power, no skill, no technique, no defense. He's going to get on the mic after a split decision robbery win, and you best believe he's calling out John Jones. That's what's going to happen, and yeah, it's going to be tremendous. But let's move on to another category. All right, now, because obviously if you're intelligent, you would know this fight is going to go on a 12-fight run and should be getting a title shot. But unfortunately, they've been cursed with the getting a title ability of Bilal Muhammad. So yeah, this motherfucker ain't getting a title shot. He's going to go on a 17-fight win streak, split decisioning everyone on the roster, and yeah, you best believe Dana ain't giving him a title shot. Now, I know that might not make sense with what we've just gone with, but we're moving to consistency, and we're going with the consistency and the mix of Terrence McKinney and Michael Johnson. So best believe we're seeing this man go 1-1, 500 level fighter, 1-1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4. We're going to see this guy on a fucking Tony Ferguson type run. He's going to go 12 wins and then 12 losses. So yeah, the consistency is going to be unmatched. It's going to be tremendous, and he will still get to a title, to the brink of a title, but then he'll get robbed of a title shot and he'll get passed up, or he'll trip over a wire or some shit like that. Some tragicness. Or he'll get overhands KO'd by Josh Emmett like Michael Johnson. But let's move on to another category. And now we're looking at some more physical attributes, and we're going to go with the shins of Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. So left shin Silva, right shin Weidman, or vice versa. I don't know which one's which. But yeah, this man's not going to be able to throw kicks or check him. He's cooked. Let's move on though. All right, now we're rocking the hand durability of Arnold Allen. If you guys don't know, I swear this guy breaks his hand after every fight. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he broke him after the Cater fight. He broke it after the Holloway fight. I don't know about Evloev, but this guy breaks his hands all the time. It's like an ongoing thing that apparently, like, you just check the medicals and you're like, yeah, he'll be out for 6 months. He's broken his hand. You don't even need to get confirmation. You just know. It just happens. He throws a jab. He'll warm up and he'll be punching his own chin at the start of the fight, just like warming himself up, and he'll break his hand. Like, that's just going to happen when Arnold Allen is in the cage. So yeah, this absolute elite specimen of a fighter is going to throw one jab with their 66-inch reach, and they're going to break it on like the kneecap of their opponent, who's like 6'4". Because this guy's going to fight Johnny Walker and be at a 1.5 height disadvantage. So it's going to be very good stuff. But let's move on to someone else. And now, sticking with Englishmen, we're going to go with the ACLs of Darren Till. You guys know this guy tears his ACL every fight or two. He did against Dricus. I'm pretty sure he did against Whitaker. This guy, his ACLs, they're toast. They're gone. So yeah, we're going to have a fighter with no ACLs who can't check leg kicks and has the shin strength of Silva and Chris Weidman. So that's going to be great stuff. We'll see what happens. Could be an issue, but it'll be fine. I'm sure this guy will get sanctioned to fight. Let's move on though to someone else. All right, now we're going to go with the leg durability. It kind of does make sense because I've already talked about ACLs and shins, but the overall leg durability, maybe the foot durability as well, the calf durability of Sean O'Malley. This guy's going to be breaking his foot. He's going to be tearing his ACL. He's going to be doing his perennial nerve every single fight. So yeah, that's just going to be tough. He's going to go for like a foot stomp in the clinch and he's going to blow out his fucking meniscus or some shit. That's what's going to happen. Let's move on though to someone else. All right, now we're going with the finish ability of Bilal Muhammad. Now, I calculated amongst this guy's UFC fights, he has a 20% finish rate, I believe. Now, that is helped out by a few submissions and a few TKO ground and pound wins at like the start of his career against Cairns. But I'm pretty sure, apart from the Sean Brady fight, I think like 90% of if you take away that Sean Brady fight, it's like I think his last 10 fights have all been decisions. So yeah, finish ability, this man is going to be split decisioning his way all the way to the belt, and it is going to be a tremendous, it's going to be a generational run. But let's move on to someone else. All right, now we're going with the looks of Raul Rosas Jr. So unfortunately, this fight is going to have absolutely nothing going for them in the cage. They're going to have nothing. They're going to have no mic skills. They're going to have no attributes, nothing to get around. And on top of that, they're looking like an absolute gremlin. There were many choices here. I could have gone with anyone, but I did pick Rosas. I was thinking of a Dagestani, but then I was like, nah. I've already got the vision of Shara. We got to put in the overall facial structure of Raul Rosas Jr. But let's move on to someone else. Now, on top of their awful call-outs, we've got the coherent English of Stipe Miocic. So, this guy's going to be calling out in broken English, Conor McGregor or like John Jones in broken English. Shout out, like, I gotta make it. Like, that's what we're going to be hearing that. And the translator's just going to be like, I want Conor McGregor. Like, that's what we're going to be hearing. Or they're going to be speaking English. It's just going to be Stipe talking in his weird language, and we're going to have to get like Nick Diaz out as the translator. If you know, you know. Mod your head videos are elite. But let's move on to another category. All right, now on a similar note, we're going with the ability to make sense of Tito Ortiz. Now, here's Tito Ortiz. Now, I'm turning into him. But here's the difference. Stipe, you can't understand what he's saying. But Tito, you know what he's saying. It's just retarded. You know, he's reaching for those cheese and grapes, trying to make his violin like cheese and wine. I messed up that quote, but it doesn't even matter, because I'm pretty sure if you asked him to recite the quote, he probably would have said it like that. So yeah, he's reaching for his grapes, you know, he wants to outlive his kids. This guy is just going to be making absolutely no sense. He's got that Bryce Mitchell CTA attitude, Bryce Mitchell just cooked nature of speaking. Can't speak English, and if he does, it makes no sense. He's just spurting out. This guy doesn't even know how to string a fucking sentence together. That's what we're going to be hearing from this dwarf. Let's move on, though, to another attribute. Now, we got many attributes from John Jones to finish off. So, we've got fighting the deserving contender. Now, we've got having a non-tainted legacy. Then we've got having a healthy home relationship. Then we've got the ability to pass a drug test. And then finally, we've got staying out of legal trouble. So to wrap it up, we've got the 5 best attributes of John Jones. Or the 5 attributes he's lacking, of course. Much like the ability to get it up in the bedroom, which causes him to need dick pills. But if you know, you know. MMA Guru, shout out to him for making that more public information. It was out there. We knew what it was. I'd seen the clip on Joe Rogan before that. But he really, cleared things up. He made it very, very understandable. So we really knew that John Jones was just struggling in a lot of aspects. But that is my fighter. So you guys might be confused. You might be saying, why would you do this? And the reason is because it's funny. And because you might be saying it's retarded. And I say, that's the point. We're meant to do this. So if I'm not mistaken, we have a dwarf midget with no arms, or not no arms, like no arm reach. They've got no takedown defense. They've got no cardio. They've got no chin. They've got no heart. They can't stay in the fight once any adversity comes their way. They can't check kicks. They can't box. They can't defend boxing. They can't throw kicks. I think I already said that. They can't throw knees. They can't speak English coherently. They look like a spastic. What else am I missing? They've got no shins. They've got no fucking ACLs. They've got no hand strength. I'm probably missing a few here. They can't get a title shot to save their life. They can't finish fights. I'm definitely missing a few here, but you guys get the idea. It's tremendous. They've got no fight IQ, all of that, all of the above. They can't get up from bottom. They can't grapple. They can't stop themselves from being grappled. It's all the good stuff. But this fighter, knowing the state of the light heavyweight division, would probably be on a 2-fight win streak right now and ranked number 6 in the weight class, coming off a KO win over Ryan Spann. So yeah, that's just what's going to happen. This is a tremendous fighter. I would love to see this in the UFC. If we could make like a custom game, I was going to do, you guys often see these memes where like they put each part of them on the body. Like you could add like the ribs of Tyrone Woodley, all that kind of stuff. But the balloon foot of Conor McGregor. But that's what we're going to go with. This is the ultimate, the mythical fighter of the UFC. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment. More videos coming soon. Peace out, everybody. See ya.